Picture this: medieval walls climbing sheer limestone cliffs, terracotta rooftops spilling into mirror-flat water, and a silence so complete you can hear the fishing boats creak. That is Kotor Bay on a calm morning. Planning 3 days in Montenegro, but not sure how to divide your time without spending half the trip fighting cruise ship crowds? We're covering sunrise views from a medieval fortress, a boat ride to a church rising from the middle of the bay, a cable car to the top of the world, spots where the locals actually eat, and one timing mistake that catches almost every first-time visitor off guard. This is how to spend 3 days in Montenegro. Let's dive in. Day 1. Get your bearings. The single most important rule for Kotor: get into the old town before the cruise ships dock. In peak season, June through August, ships arrive mid-morning and the main square can go from peaceful to gridlocked in under 45 minutes. Aim to be inside the north gate by 8 in the morning. Start with a slow wander through the cobblestone alleys. Kotor's old town is genuinely compact. The whole walled area is about half a square kilometer, but it rewards wandering. Look for the Piazza of the Arms, anchored by the 17th century clock tower, and the 12th century Cathedral of St. Tryphon, the city's most striking piece of Romanesque architecture. Entry is around $5. One thing the tourist maps skip: Kotor is famous for its cats, hundreds of them descended from Venetian-era sailors' companions, and the small cats museum near the main square is a fun $1 detour. From there, head to the entrance of the San Giovanni Fortress walls near the North Gate. The climb costs around $9 per person during official hours and involves roughly 1,350 steps of worn limestone winding up the mountain. The ticket office opens at 8 in the morning, so arriving before then means the climb is free. Allow 90 minutes to 2.5 hours for the round trip. Bring at least 1.5 liters of water. There is almost no shade after the first few hundred steps. The payoff is one of the most jaw-dropping panoramas in Europe. Terracotta rooftops below, the fjord-like bay in both directions, and limestone mountains rising straight from the water. Check whether a cruise ship is docked before deciding when to climb. If one is in port, do the fortress first and save the street wandering for late afternoon when the crowds thin out. For lunch, avoid the main square. Those restaurants are largely tourist traps. Head 1 or 2 alleys off the main drag to Konoba Scala Santa, one of the oldest restaurants in the Old Town, for grilled fish, Nieguszki prosciutto, Montenegro's smoked prosciutto, and a glass of Vranac red wine. Budget around $15 to $25 per person. Spend the afternoon at the Maritime Museum of Montenegro on Boca Navy Square. Entry is around $7, and the visit takes about an hour. After that, take a slow walk along the waterfront promenade outside the walls. After dark, the illuminated walls and empty alleyways make for the most atmospheric version of the city, so linger over dinner. Restaurants just outside the south gate face the water and are a step up from the Old Town options, with dinner mains typically running $12 to $25. Tomorrow is a full day on the water, and there is a man-made island in this bay with a story that involves fishermen, a miracle, and 200 years of sailors throwing rocks into the sea. We're going there. Day 2. Adventure Day. Rent a car for today. It is by far the most flexible way to explore the bay. The coastal road from Kotor to Perast takes about 15 to 20 minutes and hugs the water's edge with the mountains directly overhead. The drive alone is worth it. Perast is one of the most beautiful small towns in the Balkans. A population of under 300 people. A string of Baroque palaces along a narrow waterfront, and an unobstructed view across the narrowest point of the bay toward 2 small islands. Arrive early to see it before the tour groups. From the waterfront, small water taxis ferry visitors out to Gospa od Škrpjela, Our Lady of the Rocks, a church built on a completely man-made island. The story behind it is one of the best in Montenegro. In 1452, 2 brothers returning from a sea voyage found an icon of the Virgin Mary on a rocky outcrop. One had an injured leg. By the next morning, it had healed. From that day, sailors vowed to drop rocks at the spot each time they passed, and over decades, an island emerged. The church contains extraordinary frescoes, a painted ceiling, and a haunting tapestry sewn by a local woman over 25 years while waiting for her husband to return from sea. She used her own hair for the angels, and you can see where it turns from brown to gray. The return boat ride costs roughly $6 to $11 per person, Entry to the church and museum is around $3 and no booking is needed. Just flag down a boat at the waterfront. Give yourself a full 45 minutes on the island. Back on shore, spend an hour in Parast before heading to Verage 65 for lunch. Located right on the water along the Bay Road between Parast and Risan, it is one of the most highly regarded restaurants in the country, with ultra-fresh seafood and views that are hard to beat. Budget around $25 to $40 per person. The afternoon belongs to the Kotor Bay cable car, Montenegro's newest major attraction. Opened in 2023, it runs from a lower station about 8 kilometers outside Kotor to 1,348 meters above sea level in 11 minutes. The ascent reveals the entire bay spread below, Tivat, Parast, and on a clear day, the coastline toward Dubrovnik. A round-trip ticket is around $25, and the lower station is a short taxi ride from the old town. At the top, there is a restaurant, hiking trails, and an alpine coaster. Late afternoon is the best time to ride. Golden hour light on the bay from this altitude is extraordinary. 2 days down. Tomorrow we go off the beaten path, the hidden oyster spots, an early sunrise walk, and one timing trick that gives you the whole place almost entirely to yourself. Day 3. Hidden gems. Here is something almost nobody tells you about Kotor. The city wall gates are often open and unmanned before 8 in the morning. A sunrise walk through the old town, starting around 6:30, gives you the entire place almost to yourself, with warm low light catching the stone buildings and the bay completely still below. No cruise ships, no tour groups, just cobblestones and cats. It costs nothing. Grab a burek from one of the bakeries near the North Gate on your way back. A flaky pastry filled with cheese or meat, well under $2, and the local breakfast of choice. Once you have had coffee, take the scenic drive around the inner bay. The full loop is approximately 60 kilometers of consistently spectacular coastal scenery. Stop at Risan, a small village north of Paris, to see the ancient Roman mosaics preserved under a glass floor at the local archaeological site. Entry is around $6, and the mosaics date back to the 2nd century. Continue west toward Herceg-Novi, near the bay's mouth, where a layered old town features a clock tower, the Ottoman-era Konlikula fortress with sweeping views over the outer bay, and a solid string of waterfront seafood restaurants. Now here is something nobody tells you. Right along the shore between Parast and Risan, a handful of family-run oyster farms serve oysters pulled from the bay minutes before they reach your plate. Restaurant Uzga Jalište Ostriga is the most celebrated. Cash only, barely a menu, and the kind of freshness that makes every other oyster you have ever eaten feel like a distant memory. Oysters here cost around $1 to $2 each, making it one of the best value food experiences in all of Montenegro. For departure, Tivat Airport is only about 10 minutes from Kotor, which makes it one of the most convenient airports on the Adriatic. Allow 90 minutes to 2 hours of driving plus an additional 30 to 60 minutes of potential border waiting in summer. Do not cut it close. Before you leave, take one final walk along the waterfront promenade outside the old town walls. The view back at the walls with the mountains rising behind them is the image you will carry home, and the one that will have you looking up flights back before you have even landed. If you're planning any tours or activities for this trip, I've linked some of the best-rated options in the video description to make things easier. Essential practical information. Transportation. Renting a car is the most flexible option and strongly recommended for exploring the full bay, with rates from around $30 to $50 per day. The Blue Line public bus connects Tivat, Kotor, and Parast for just a few dollars per journey, though timetables are limited. Taxis are available outside the old town walls. Always agree on a fare beforehand. Uber does not operate in Montenegro. Accommodation. Budget hostels and guest houses start from around $30 to $40 per night. Mid-range hotels and apartments, such as Hotel Maria, located inside the Old Town walls, average $60 to $120 in peak season. For luxury, Huma Kotor Bay Hotel and villas and the Hyatt Regency Kotor Bay Resort start from roughly $250 per night in summer. The quieter village of Dobrota, just outside Kotor, offers slightly lower prices and easy bay access. Food. The essentials: Njegushki prosciutto, fresh seafood from the bay, local Vranak red wine, and burek pastries for a cheap breakfast. Budget around $15 to $30 per person at a konoba. Bakeries near the Old Town gates are excellent for inexpensive meals. Carry cash. Many smaller restaurants and boat operators do not accept cards. Weather and packing. The best window is April to early June and September to October. Pleasant temperatures, far fewer crowds, and noticeably lower prices than peak summer. July and August bring heat above 30 degrees Celsius and heavy cruise ship traffic. For the fortress climb, wear proper closed-toe shoes with grip. The limestone steps are worn smooth and become very slippery after rain. Kotor receives more rainfall than nearby Budva due to its mountain position. Booking strategy. The fortress, Parast boats, and most restaurants require no advance booking. Reserve the cable car online for peak season. Ticket queues build by mid-afternoon in summer. Book accommodation 2 to 4 weeks ahead for July and August travel. Mistakes to avoid. Not checking the cruise ship schedule. Kotor is one of the busiest cruise ports on the Adriatic, and on peak days, 2 or 3 ships may dock simultaneously, transforming the old town from peaceful to overwhelming in under an hour. The Port of Kotor publishes arrival times online. Check before planning your day and schedule fortress climbs and street wandering either before ships arrive or after they depart in the afternoon. Underestimating the fortress climb. The climb to San Giovanni Fortress is genuinely demanding in summer heat. Many visitors start at midday and either turn back or arrive at the top seriously overheated. Start before 8:30 in the morning, bring at least 1.5 liters of water per person, and wear closed-toe shoes. Flip-flops on worn limestone steps is a bad combination. Staying only in the Old Town. The villages of Parast, Riesen, and Herceg-Novi, the oyster farms along the shore, and the mountain viewpoints above the water are what elevate Kotor Bay from a nice walled town into something truly extraordinary. Build in at least 1 day of driving the full Bay Loop. Most visitors say it was the highlight of the trip. Ignoring cash. Montenegro uses the euro, and many smaller restaurants, boat operators, and market stalls are cash only, the oyster farms especially. Withdraw euros on arrival and carry small notes. This is Explorer's Radar, where we uncover the best travel experiences around the world. Which day appeals to you most? The history, the water, or the mountains? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like if this helped with your planning. Subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming guides, and check out the next video for another incredible destination worth adding to your travel list.